Hello everyone, welcome back to our channel. Today on Chess at 365, we have started a new series called Pawn Endgame. In this series, we right now taking the puzzle which only includes two pawns on the board along with the king. When I say two pawns on the board, the chess position is become completely theoretical. If you know all the chess pawn endgame concept very well, you can easily solve and decide whether you are going to win, loss, or you can make this as a draw. There are also puzzles which is related to chess position analysis. If your elo rating is between 1000 to 1600, we will give you the link in the description box. There are some other videos which is related to chess trap, and the link also given in the description box. So without wasting any time, let's jump to the puzzle and let's move on the board. Look into this position. When there are clear cut two pawns on the board and there is no disturbance on the pawn, you can say the pawns are passed pawn. None of the king is stopping any of the pawns. So you can simply push your white pawn on the p5. So whenever there are only two pawns on the board, the first idea come into your mind that you should think about the pawn race. Let's see on the board what exactly happened when you finish the pawn end race. Black moves pawn to the g4, b6, g3, b7, g2. But here comes the basic idea that obviously you have to keep in your mind that if you can immediately give check with the promotion, that could be considered as a drawback in most of the cases for the opponent. And this is what exactly happens when you promote to queen on the b8 square and king immediately end up into black's king immediately end up into the check. Black have to move its king. Black moves its king to the f3. We simply jump our queen down the h2 and now we are defending the g1 square. So of course black have to take the support of the king. King goes to the f2. Now because our king is very close by to the black's king, we can simply move our king to the d3. King goes to the f1 just to support the pawn when he wants to promote on the g1 square. King to the d2, and now this is a really interesting idea. If now black is promoting with the queen, then queen to e2 is checkmate. The outcome of the pawn end race is in your favor, but of course black also know that part. So black will not go for the pawn end race. This is where the second idea comes, that is called the square. Let's check out the square. When you are taking the square rule into the count, when white moves its pawn to the b5, then black king will go to the e5. Now, if you keep on pushing the pawn, then king will easily stop the pawn. So, of course, as per the square rule, black can easily stop the pawn. So, of course, after king to e5, white will simply push his pawn to the c5. And now this will end up as a draw. The question is why? Then black will simply move its king to the e6. And now can you see the king is no more in the checking line, because previously when you promote with the queen on the b8 square, you can easily giving check to the king, and now king is no more in the checking line. After king to e6, there is a still chance that black can stop the pawn. So white have to move its king to the c6, and now black will keep on moving its pawn to the g4, pawn to the b6, and now this pawn race, of course, white promotes the first. Black also have a chance to promote, and there is no immediate skewer by which you can grab the black's queen. So this will end up as a draw. So using the square rule, black have a chance to make this game as a draw. So far we have seen that pawn race is in the favor of white, and if black try to follow the square rule and try to stop the pawn, he can successfully manage to make this draw. So black will try to make this draw. But still there is a third idea remain, which is called underpass. And let's see that idea on the board. When white moves pawn to the b5, king will go to the e5, try to stop the pawn. As we already discussed, white will simply move its pawn to the b6, and now king have an excess of square to the d6 and also try to stop the pawn. So black will move its king to the d6. Now here comes the idea which is called underpass by moving king to the b5. Now black clear have a three option. Either he can move its pawn to the g4, or either king to the d7 or the d5. Remember, king is still in the line of checking square, because now if white promotes on the b8 square, still king is under check. If he's going for pawn to g4, we will simply move our king to the a6. Now still king is in the checking line, so king either have to go to the d5 or the d7. King to the d5 is immediately winning, because now it's white's turn, and white is just 2 moves away from the pawn promotion, and black is still 3 moves away from the pawn promotion. and black's king is still away from the pawn, so the pawn is hanging. But still, if we're going for the king to d7, then we will simply move our pawn to the b7. Of course, king try to come closer to the pawn to stop the b8 promotion, but we will move our king to the a7. And now we have a support on the b8 square. King have to go away, or doesn't matter if we, even if we're pushing its pawn in next move, white will immediately promote and black's pawn is hanging, and white can easily take the black's pawn and win from here. So underpass is the concept that you keep into the mind apart from the pawn end race and the square rule. Maybe underpass is the way that you can manage to win. Thanks for watching today's video. Subscribe to our channel for more informative video related to chess.